I've got to watch my language.
Oh, yeah. Got to watch your language. That was Dr. Dave. Hey, everybody. It's Melissa Fox, and we are now live on Facebook. In a minute and a half before we're live on iHeartRadio. You can find us on the iHeartRadio app. Just search News Radio WFLA Orlando, or if you're in the Central Florida area, 94.1 FM. If you're north of Orlando downtown, 93.1 FM. If you're near the attractions, and all over the peninsula at AM 540. So, yeah, we all got your joke, Doc. Yeah, he wrote that, that whole thing about getting ready for the fall.
Ready for the fall.
Ready for the fall.
Pride cometh before a fall.
Slide it before, that's a little bit of a different kind of fall. But tripping. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that tonight.
Different kind of tripping.
Yeah, different kind of tripping. We got 1 minute before we catch up. So can you summarize it?
Yeah, what we're going to talk about today is something that's actually become near and dear to my heart, actually near and dear to my liver, as it turned out, and that's that folks over the age of 60 have an increased risk of falling. And each year you get a little bit older, the risk goes up. So the number, the percentage, the risk of falling is actually rather substantial. And the difference between older people like me and younger people like some of you, okay, is that we don't bounce as well as we used to. So you can have a very firm glass, just drop it and it won't break. And then you can have a very fragile one and just bump it and it shatters. As we get older, the bones become more brittle, the blood vessels become more fragile, and we have to be more careful. We're going to talk about the things you can do to mitigate those risks and the things you can do to make yourself a little healthier.
It's time for Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Have a medical question? Call 407-422-1212. That's 407-422-1212 or text 23680.
Wow, live radio. You gotta love it. Hey, everybody, Sunday afternoon. Thanks for sharing it with us here on News Radio WFLA Orlando. I am Melissa Fox, and the doctor is in. Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute in beautiful Longwood, Florida, just a stone's throw off of I-4 at State Road 434. Check him out online at stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. Anything we talk about today, product-wise, you can also find at stagesoflifevitamins.com. So today, the show is titled Getting Ready for the Fall. Dr. David Klein, please explain yourself.
A little bit of sarcasm involved here. But we're all, unless you're really lucky, or unlucky as it were, and you drop off before you get old, you're going to experience one of these events at some point in your life. And either you're going to do really, really well with it, get bruised maybe, or you could do things like break your hip, break your arm, break your neck. Well, what are we going to do? All right, so as we get older, we need to start thinking a little bit more clearly, even as our brains allow us not the same. You can't think as clearly as you used to. So it's very helpful to look around yourself, to look around your environment, to look around your home, look around your workplace, look around your car, look around your kids' room, grandkids, pets, okay? And try to figure out what it's going to take. Look at each one of these individual places, things, items, whatever, as a potential assassin. You can be done in by a tennis ball. You can be done in by a poodle. You can be done in by any number of different items that are rather innocuous by themselves. We're not talking about choke hazard. That's another talk. This is going to be how can you meet your maker, okay, in 3 easy steps around your house by not paying attention to what you're doing. So, I'm a physician. I've been a doc for over 40 years. And, you would think that you would have seen it all. But not so. Every day that I go into the office, and I'm in that office almost every day, and have been, something different happens. Okay, that I just, what the heck did that person just tell me? Is this real, or is this like, where is Rod Serling coming out from behind a wall? Well, what do we have to do here? We have to look at ourselves and just try to be a little bit defensive, a little bit, let's just say preemptive. What are the sorts of things that are likely to do you in your bathroom? The most likely place that you are going to get hurt in your house is not the driveway. It's not I-4. It's not 495. It is not whatever beltway you have around your particular location. I grew up in D.C. 495 was the big killer there. Here, we have lots of them. We have a variety of killers in Orlando. But how are you likely to get killed? And it's going to be by tripping over something in your own bathroom. It could be a carpet. Now, why would people have throw carpets, throw rugs in their bathrooms is beyond me. Those are the biggest killers of old people. Why? Because, I'm not going to go ahead and put tape down. They came in and cleaned the place, and I got to put double-sided tape down. Yeah, maybe you need to take a little bit more care, or maybe what you need to do is to take those throw carpets and give it to somebody you don't like. Okay, maybe Sally down the street might benefit from these little death traps. So there are lots of ways you can go. Not having grab bars in your bathtub or shower is another one. People slip and fall in their showers all the time.
I'm getting a seat and a handle in there.
The seat you have in there works just fine. I know this. So, so my dad, when he was in his 40s, slipped and fell in the shower, landed on the tub because it's a small house. I mean, really small house. Smaller, it's a third the size of my garage now, right? So we all lived in this little house, one bathroom, and the tub was small and had one of these little circle things around it where you had to pull the chain, and the curtain came around, and he fell, had nothing to grab onto, landed on the ceramic bathtub and broke his ribs. And he was freaked out for the rest of his life about that shower.
Wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I would have been.
Yeah.
So that is the way that it works. You don't have to be old to fall. You can be very, very young and fall. It doesn't really matter. Statistics are that as you get older, you're going to become damaged more easily. So you start in the bathroom and you look around. Look for the sorts of things that you might trip over. In my house, we have scores of them, and I trip over them all the time. My favorite are my wife's slippers. All right, adequately and appropriately named, because I slip and trip on them
she's
routinely.
Got these big, huge shoebox-sized feet. I mean, it's no wonder
she's almost 6 feet tall. So
like her flipper feet.
They are like boats. Okay, so she leaves them in places where I can't see them. I can't look down because of my Meniere's disease. She can't look down because she has a broken neck. And so, what do you know? These pink slippers, they knock me over about once a week. So what do? Okay, we just
get a camera and you make sure I got access to this video.
I kick them under the nightstand, and then I get yelled for that. And I go, oh, I didn't mean to do that. But I meant to do it. So there are many ways to trip and fall. And so one of the things that I like to do for my patients, when they're interested in me doing this, now I just have to preface this. We've been open for business as a doctor's office since January, right? Okay. And most of my confreres, most of the people in my industry have closed. They're doing everything by telemedicine, right?
Which is ridiculous.
Which is insanely stupid. I have this rash. Oh, come on up and show me your rash. I can't show you that rash. It's like, I don't think anybody can stand up, bend over, and do whatever they need to do. Yeah, they're
one of our texters has checked it. Go ahead and read that.
Yeah, it says, I slipped and fell reaching for the radio to tune into 540. Well, if you're going to fall, okay, that's a perfectly reasonable, that's an honorable way of falling.
Yes, it is. You could, it lead into you getting like Alexa, so you can just say, Alexa. Tune in News Radio Orlando.
Yeah, Alexa's another one. Okay, so what we have to do, but in any event, I digress. As a physician, what I offer my patients to do is to hook them up with home health for a visit, so a fresh party can come in and look around and tell you what you need to do to get your house to be either ADA compliant, which, by the way, is not a bad sales point for your house. We have ADA compliant bathtubs. Oh, okay, great. You'll get your $80 back. So what do? We send the nurse, the home health people in to look around to make sure that grandma doesn't fall in the guest house, to make sure that people don't slip and break their necks in the other bathrooms or in the kitchen, the places where it's most likely that this will happen. They'll talk to you about not having footstools in the middle of the hallways. There are many ways to die. There are many ways to quote the Dalai Lama. Okay, I'm going to sound rather arcane. There are many ways to kiss the ground. This is not a good one, okay? Tripping and falling over a footstool is not a good way to kiss the ground, according to the Dalai Lama. So falling is a big deal. And what I'm going to talk about isn't so much to berate you into having home health come out and help you, which, by the way, is exactly what you ought to be doing. But it's really, what can you do to harden your bone? What can you do to harden your blood vessels, not in a bad way, but in a good way? What can you do to mitigate your risk should you fall, should you trip, should you get into trouble? And there are ways you can harden the bone without having to go do goofy stuff like getting some of these injections or, taking things like Fosamax and whatnot, which have their own downside. There are things nutritionally that you can do to harden the bone. And it makes a big difference.
And Doc, isn't there also something to taking excessive trips to the bathroom in the middle of the night, which is the danger time, that there's reasons that you can check those symptoms
there's
too?
things, when people would get up in the middle of the night to urinate, in particular, that's a sign of certain types of illnesses, to include diabetes, prostate disease, and other sorts of things. But I've got a buddy, a fairly close friend of mine, who wrote this software, or he markets it, where what they do for nursing homes is they put a sensor in the bathroom under the seat. So when it gets moved or whatever, they know that somebody is using the commode, and they can tell when people have urinary tract infections by the frequency with which those things move. That is unbelievably invasive.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it makes a lot of sense. Well, Grandma went and she peed 16 times yesterday. Maybe we need to go ahead and call the doctor. You would do that for your pet. Well, my dog just keeps on peeing on the carpet. Yeah, the dog has a urinary tract infection. So do you.
So, there you go. We got some texts to take care of. Get on the horn if you have a question you'd like to ask Dr. David Klein. 407-422-1212. Again, 407-422-1212. We've got our operators standing by, waiting to talk to you. And if you want to text in, you're a little shy that way. Hashtag 23680. Just mash 23680 into your phone. We're going to take a quick break, check things that is, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando. It's just the radio on commercials. Okay, let's see. Hi, everybody on Facebook and Twitch and Twitter, and I'm not even sure. I think that's it. But we are on WFLA's Facebook as well as Stages of Life, as well as mine, as well as Connections. So, anyway, how y'all doing? Got about a handful of people watching us right now. So, anybody out there getting a gathering for the holidays? What's the plan, really? Thanksgiving? What are we doing?
How many people are you thinking of infecting this holiday season? Or, on the other hand,
super spreaders.
This might be the last time you can see Grandma.
Well,
so
how do
let's
you
take the
approach
risk.
that?
Well, how about let's look at it this way. We've been in the middle of this pandemic for now 10 and a half months.
15-day lockdown will be good.
Well, think about this for a second. So you've made it through 10 and a half months worth of this thing, and you've done just fine. I prefer to think that the weak links have already been removed. The weak players have already fallen out. But really, it's more like this. People have gotten a little bit smarter. But by this point, what you don't want to do is to be the last person to die in a war. So we have to be intelligent about this. Send somebody else to the front. No, what you want to do is to realize a couple things. One, the election's over. So now COVID's no longer politicized. Except it is.
It is still.
Yeah. And so what do the talking heads have to sell right now? The same thing they had to sell before, which is fear and greed. So right now they're trying to scare you in order to get listeners and watchers and followers and whatnot. So number one, don't buy it, because they're not any smarter. They're not any more knowledgeable than you are. They know nothing more than you do. And in fact, they probably know a whole lot less, because they don't know how to do anything except for talk for a living. What do you know how to do? Okay, you might be somebody who's a plumber, electrician. You might be a cook. You might be. There are a lot of skill sets, all very useful on Fantasy Island. They're all very, very useful on Survivor Island. But talking heads are not. This particular skill that I'm demonstrating right now is of no value in terms of survival. So, what does it take to survive? First thing you need to understand is this. One, the virus is not a living creature the way many other creatures are. It's not. It's a chemical. That's what it is. It reproduces. It does nothing else. It just simply reproduces at another cell's expense. It has no memory, really. It has no soul, absolutely. So what do you need to know about it? It's transmitted very predictably. And what's funny about that is that the modes of transmission are the things that are talked about the least. It is a fecal-oral route of a transmission. It goes from the mouth through the GI tract, out into the poop, and then back into the mouth. That is how it's transmitted. Sounds rather distasteful under most circumstances. It's the same way that E. coli goes. By the way, you end up with an E. coli infection. Guess where that came from? Same place. Somebody's bottom. So what do you need to do? Understand the value of keeping your food clean, your water clean, your utensils clean, and your hands clean. You do that, you're going to do just fine. These masks, they only last an hour, and then they become soiled and they need to be changed. But people may not change them for a week. I want you to imagine, those of you that have had this experience of having children, that if you had these cotton diapers, okay, think about this one for a second. If they get a little bit moist, what do you do to them? You change them. Your masks need to be changed every hour.
He's making sense again, folks.
Bummer.
Iggy's got a good question, but I want to ask that on the radio, so hang on a second, all right? We're going to be going back and joining the radio in less than 10 seconds. Oh, my God, I'm so excited.
Am I ready?
Are you?
I'm ready.
How do I look? Which camera? Welcome back at Stages of Life Radio. We do this live, every Sunday afternoon, 4 until 5 o'clock here in beautiful downtown Longwood. I am Melissa Fox from Good Morning Orlando. Yeah, buddy. And I've got the Klein Dr. Klein, D. Klein.
And here's where I have to put on the Marcus Welby voice.
Do it.
Hi, this is Dr. David Klein. I'm here to make you better. Or at least you're smarter. That's what I'm going to do for you today.
Okay,
so we teach you a couple of things.
We got some questions. I think we got someone hanging on the phone, too.
Cool.
407-422-1212. We are live, so you can call into the doc if you like, or text us if you're a little bit shy, 23680 for the text line. And since we've got folks watching us on Facebook, Twitch, and Periscope, as well as YouTube, we've got some questions from the Peanut Gallery. Do you want to talk more about the falling, or do you want to answer some of our questions?
Let's go with the questions. I'm going to fall regardless. So let's hear what they have. Let's see what interests them.
All right, let's hit the text line first for the radio crowd. They said, what supplements do you recommend prior to radiotherapy treatment?
It really depends on where the radiotherapy is being done. So if it's true radiation therapy, that's a different frequency. It's a hotter radiation. Typically what I use is something called N-acetylcysteine and several different antioxidants. The reason for that is that it helps with preventing and treating collateral tissue damage. More than likely that wasn't the question. When people ask that, it almost always has to do with the prostate. I'm going in to have radiotherapy of the prostate. So what this means is the type of radiation that you're receiving is infrared. Okay, it's going to be heat that's going to be delivered to the prostate, which gently cooks it, something akin to that slow cooker that you have in your kitchen, and then the tissue kind of works its way out of the system. We do radiotherapy treatment for a bunch of different things in my office, and that's the type that we use. What do you do? Okay, so there really isn't a great deal of supplementation that you need to enhance the radiotherapy, but there's some things that are very helpful to treat the pain and the agony afterwards, if there is any. And one of the most interesting of which is called MSM, methylsulfonylmethane. The dosage is 1 gram twice a day. That's 1,000 milligrams in the morning, 1,000 milligrams in the evening. What is it? It's an antioxidant, very, very important, and an anti-inflammatory. There are over 150 different inflammatory modulators. So we say, you can't take anti-inflammatories because of bleeding. No, that's only one type of modulator. That's cyclooxygenase. So no, there are ways you can do it. Methylsulfonylmethane, 1 gram twice a day, will keep the inflammation and the swelling down. The second thing you need to do is to keep your urine going properly so that you don't end up with urinary retention. So what do? Lots and lots of water. Second thing is you got to watch for infection. I use something called D-mannose. D-mannose is a non-utilized sugar. It's absorbed. You take it into the gut. You take these tablets, capsules, however it works, powder if you can find it, and it's absorbed. It passes through the gut. It's absorbed, ends up in the kidneys, not used, and it's excreted in the urine, but it keeps infection from setting in. Very important. And N-acetylcysteine is also a gram-negative antibiotic. What does that mean? It means it's good for you for this circumstance. So what would I recommend? MSM 1 gram twice a day. That's 1,000 milligrams twice a day. N-acetylcysteine 500 milligrams 4 times a day, and that should be all you need. The D-mannose is an option, but I would personally do it, and that would be 500 milligram capsules, 2 of them twice a day. You do that for 2 weeks, you should be fine.
Cool.
Next question.
Boom. Okay, Iggy's watching us on our Facebook Live feed, so he gets to see your beautiful face and mine as well.
Hi, Iggy.
Hi, Iggy. He says, do you know if the vaccines for COVID will be free, or do you think they're going to charge us?
I think you're paying for it, but in your taxes. So the whole deal here, okay, is that they've already been paid for. The government gave these companies billions of dollars to make them available. That's the way that this thing works. So they've been paid. You've paid them. I've paid them. We've all paid them together. And so they're going to come out and you're going to line up just like they did with the Salk vaccine. You line up, they shove it down your throat as they did with the Salk, or they shoot it in your arm. And I would be shocked if you got there before I did, because I fully intend to be first in line.
Yeah.
This is what's going to get us out of this thing. And for all of those people that are, I'm afraid to get a vaccine because I don't want this. Well, you're just going to probably have to wear a mask the rest of your life, and it's probably not going to hurt any of our feelings. But I'm going to get that vaccine.
Fair enough. Okay, we got a question on the text line at 23680. It says, I've tried all of the Klein suggestions to lower my cholesterol. The LDL is still 250. Is Repatha a safe choice? Total is 332.
That may be the only thing that you can do. The HDL was 60. So if your LDL is that high, then I use something called bergamot, Bergamot. And if you've already done the bergamot 500 milligram capsules 2 or 3 times a day, then Repatha is a good choice. More times than not, though, you're able to get it down using the nutraceuticals. It went up as a result of the nutraceuticals. But make sure of this. Make sure that you do not have subclinical hypothyroidism, because you may be treating the wrong thing. You have a normal triglyceride level at 109. What does that tell me? It means that your insulin level is probably fine and your blood sugar is probably fine. So that's not screwing with this. But when people have elevated cholesterols, the first thing I look for is autoimmune thyroid disease. Back in the day, we're going to go back into history.
Okay.
Before we had TSHs and T3 and T4 levels, the way that we determined adequacy of thyroid treatment was looking at their cholesterol. And we would treat them until their cholesterol dropped. Why is that? Because when thyroid function drops, cholesterol goes up. So before you give up on the Klein nutraceuticals, get your blood drawn, but make sure that they check your TPA and your ATG, and both of them need to be below 3. There's one lab in particular that believes it should be 30 or less. The answer is, are you kidding? No, 3 or less. So give that a try. Let me know how that turns out.
Another one off the text line. Pretty hot right now. Wow.
Yeah.
23680. It's very easy to text your questions in. Many states have a strict mask mandate and have for many months now, yet they keep pushing the masks. What's your options? What are your opinions here?
Yeah, Einstein had it pretty well figured out when he said that, the definition of idiocy is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The mask is important, but it's not going to prevent anything. What is going to prevent, what's going to protect you, is using your brains and your common sense. And a mask is part of the picture. What does it do? Do you think it really protects you from particles that are so small that they pass through like a dart goes through a basketball net? The answer is no, of course it's not going to do that. It's going to remind you not to touch your face. It's going to remind other people not to touch your face. Okay? Not that they would anyway, but that's just the way these things go. So you need to wash your hands. You need to not touch your face, not pick your nose, not do all those nasty little things that we do. And most importantly, wash your hands after you go to the bathroom. That is the key. And more so is if you go use a public bathroom. Wash your hands after you leave there. Use your hand washing solutions, the disinfectant soaps, whatever you happen to have, the little sprays, because the dirtiest place in the whole restaurant is the handle going in and out of the bathroom. People forget all about that.
I don't. We everyone I know uses a paper towel and
Yeah.
they dry their hands.
Yeah, and that's assuming that you have paper towels in your bathrooms. And that's not necessarily what goes, especially in the tree-hugging states where they're all done with these blowers now. So if you can carry the blower off the wall, then it works out just perfectly.
Yeah,
so what do I think about masks? I think that they're important. I think what they do is they signal a type of respect, but they really don't protect you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having these issues that we're having up north.
Fair enough.
Why are we having it up north?
Because it's cold.
It's cold, yeah. Now, back in January, when this thing first started hitting, I was on Fox News, all kinds of crazy things. Now nobody pays any attention to me except for here, kinda.
Not
But
kinda.
what I said was it's going to be back in the fall. And the reason to that answer is that it always is. Coronavirus is nothing new.
You know, it's the funniest
I
contention.
said that in January.
But remember the funniest contention we got? What about all the people in South Florida? They're all getting in. It's hot. No, they're all clustered in the house with the air conditioning cranked up so there's snow hanging off their nose.
Yeah.
That's why they're getting sick.
It's crazy.
Anyway.
Yeah, hang around like we do in Central Florida. Be a good old country boy and learn how to not use your AC.
There you go. All right, we're going to check the news. It's the bottom of the hour here at Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando. Anything we talk about, nutraceuticals or otherwise, you can find those products. Just go to stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. And if you want to check in with the doc and say howdy or hi or have a question, 407-422-1212. Again, 407-422-1212. Stages of Life Radio. We'll be right back. Yay! I'm good at this.
Practice makes perfect.
It does. Okay, so I think Tanya has actually asked this question before, but I don't know why. Maybe we didn't answer it. But is it safe to go to the dentist now?
Is it safe to go to the dentist? It depends on your dentist, I would think. So if you have a nice dentist and they wash their hands and their hygienists are careful not to drill your tongue or something, then you're probably just fine. The answer is yes, of course it is.
It's more dangerous for the dentist.
It's far more dangerous for the dentist.
Especially the hygienist, I would think.
Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah, God bless those folks. They are at risk. Not your kindergarten teacher, not your high school teacher. Those people are sissies if they're afraid to go back to work. It's the hygienists.
And they've been wearing masks and protection ever since AIDS popped in. That was the first time they started
hepatitis.
Okay, they were still not wearing the gloves like they started when HIV popped around.
Well, true enough.
I was going to say, all of a sudden it was Glove City, and it was it actually was very uncomfortable than the regular hand
at first,
in your mouth.
yes.
Yeah. But you got used to it, like anything.
You learned to accept it.
So anyway, Tanya, there's your answer there. Karen is watching us. Hey, Karen, right up the street. Normally I go to Karen's house for Thanksgiving, but it's just going to be the three of them this time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is fine. I'm not just keeping it simple, but we're not doing anything at this house. So
well, you know what you can do is you can call out to Four Rivers.
You know, they're expensive.
Yeah, but it's worth it. So Thanksgiving is only twice a year.
What?
Well, it's twice a year.
How's that?
Well, because there's the day of Thanksgiving, and then the second day after you eat all the stuff you didn't eat on Thanksgiving. So these meals get carried through. It's not that expensive.
I'm just going to go get my own turkey and make it happen. All right. We can
go to Publix where they have them already cooked.
Oh, good question. Okay, when we come back here in about a minute. Yeah, I was gonna say we did that once. Funny thing though, they break the bird so that it's pretty much incapacitated. They cut it so
before it's dead or after it's cooked.
I'm not sure. I think before they cook it, after it's dead.
Oh, okay.
To answer your question,
yeah.
But it basically is in 4 quadrants. Okay, and we had this one, and it fell on the floor, fell out of the pan because it was all upset. And we caught it in the pan just before it hit the floor, and we put it back together and made it look like a turkey.
A reconstructive surgeon you are.
It was very, very good. I was very impressed with my work. Me and Aunt Phyllis.
There you go. So what do I think about Thanksgiving?
30 seconds to tell us.
We are blessed in the state of Florida. I don't know where you're listening from.
Outside,
but in Florida, we have a reasonable governor who's actually doing all the right stuff. Our rates of infection have been low and have remained low, and they're going to stay that way because he's not out there, showboating on television quite so much. But he's not up for an Emmy either.
15.
He didn't get an Emmy.
Wait.
He didn't kill a bunch of people in nursing homes either. I suppose that's why he got the Emmy. So, Governor DeSantis done a beautiful job. We are going to have Thanksgiving at our home, but much of it is going to be outdoors.
Okay.
So we're lucky. We have a porch.
Hi, guys. Welcome back. We are lucky and have a porch as well here. I don't know if you know. Oh, there we go. We were just talking about off-air on our Facebook live feed on News Radio WFLA Orlando's page and Stages of Life Medical Institute page, and I think it's on my Connection Show page, too. Anyway, so we were just talking with some of the listeners and viewers there about Thanksgiving and plans and what we should do. And frankly, we should hand it over to Dr. Klein.
Yeah. Well, first things first. Okay. First things first. Wash your hands. Okay. Make sure that everybody isn't touching all the food. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be touching other people's instruments, things like knives, forks, glasses, napkins. use your own towel in the bathroom. So the host has got to make sure that there's a bunch of different towels out there, or use disposable towels, because if you're going to get sick at Thanksgiving, it's going to be washing your hands in the bathroom, because those towels transmit from person to person to person, and that's just the way that it's going to happen.
Yep. Hey, we got a call here. Let's go ahead and take Pam.
Let's take it.
Pam from Castleberry. Now, it says here, Pam, how are you? It says here you have a disabled son. He's 40 years old. He had COVID.
All right.
But now he's a long hauler. He's having repeated bouts of bronchitis. Hi, Pam.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, Jamie's numbers are all good. His stats, his blood pressure, his temperature is all good. He was asymptomatic when he had COVID.
All right.
But we've been giving him breathing treatments, vitamin C, D, guaifenesin, colostrum.
Good.
What else can we do?
Okay, the
And
N-acetyl.
is this typical?
It's not typical, but it's not. Is he a smoker?
No.
Okay,
no.
good. All right. N-acetylcysteine would be the one thing I didn't hear you say. And so
Guaifenesin.
N-acetylcysteine, NAC.
Oh, okay.
NAC, N-acetylcysteine,
Okay.
used to be a prescription item. It's now over the counter, and you take it simultaneously with the guaifenesin. So you take one NAC, one guaifenesin, you do that 4 times a day, and drink lots of water. And what it will do is it'll get the junk out of his lungs. So he has a persistent cough. It's as likely as not being due to the COVID. Now let's just say that you go ahead and you had something called RSV, or you had a common cold, or you had adenovirus, rhinovirus, whatever. There are lots of these different viruses. People end up with bronchospastic disease that can last as long as a year. So what does this mean? It means that cough after pneumonia, cough after viral upper respiratory tract infection is not all that common, or uncommon, pardon me. So don't worry so much about it.
What about the weight, though? Is his weight good?
Good question.
Yeah, his weight is good.
Yeah. So
But he coughs to the point where he's going to throw up.
Okay.
But he doesn't. I mean,
may I make a suggestion to you? I suppose that's why you're calling. Yeah, there's also a disease called pertussis that's notorious for doing that. Coughing until you vomit or almost vomit. Bordetella parapertussis, or Bordetella pertussis, sometimes known in the animal kingdom as kennel cough, is very contagious. It hits adults differently than it hits kids. With kids, they wheeze. With adults, they have chronic cough. And it was estimated at one point that 1/3 of all adults with chronic bronchitis harbor Bordetella pertussis. So what do you do?
Okay.
It's a 2-week antibiotic course, and if that straightens it out, you know exactly what happened. The beauty in the NAC is it'll help because it's a gram-negative antibiotic, but it's not strong enough. Usually when people come in with that history into my office, I'll do one of two things. I'll either go ahead and test them for pertussis, which is a kind of a drag and it's a little bit expensive, or I do something not terribly expensive, and that's to give them a combination of doxycycline and erythromycin, something called erythromycin ethyl succinate, or EES. So the combination together is very, very strong and effective against pertussis, and you do it for 2 weeks. About 1/4 of those patients thus treated will need a second course. So the doctor should keep an eye on them. And if that takes care of it, you're good to go. So make sure that they check him for pertussis, because that's kind of an interesting, you just gave it away with the vomiting.
Yeah, that's definitely
That's it.
okay.
All right, well, good luck with that. We appreciate you calling.
Good call.
Her line is now open at 407-422-1212. Again, 407-422-1212. Tanya says she's going to do Thanksgiving dinner with just a couple of the kids out by the pool and on the patio area.
There you go.
Which is perfect.
Yeah. Just make sure that the kids don't stick their fingers in the desserts.
Right.
Okay? Because that's kind of key.
See, there's something you can do, too. And if you're not a fan of making desserts, you can go to get the little cupcakes, individual portion stuff. There's a lot of them, the little bundt cakes they make out there.
But don't handle the food.
Right.
Let mom handle the food.
Keep them in the little wax cupcake wraps that they come in, and use tongs. I mean, there's a million ways around these things.
But pretend that you are the one with the contagion, okay, and then handle the food accordingly.
Exactly.
And people are going to stay nice and safe. They have these quote-unquote super spreader events. Nonsense, okay, unless it's something like, I don't know, New Orleans, and in the Mardi Gras. Those places are nuts.
Well,
Fun,
yeah.
lots of fun, but crazy in the middle of a pandemic. But for the most part, sitting down with 8 or 10 people at a dinner table, unless you're doing something fundamentally wrong, is not going to end up with disaster. There was a group, there were 10 or so people that got sick. I believe it was New Jersey early on. This epidemic, this pandemic, is largely delivered by way of food. That's why the cruise industry has taken a beating. That's why the restaurant industry has taken a beating, because it's going to take one food server to poison a dozen, 200 people, whatever the number happens to be. So those are the places that are super spreader. So what are we going to do? Look at how you could hurt somebody and then just don't do that. Hot foods, they are a lot safer than cold foods.
Sure.
So what do? A hot turkey? You think you're going to get sick from hot turkey? Probably not. Coleslaw? Yeah, that might be a problem. Salads probably poison more people than any other food. Why is that? Listeria, E. coli, there's a whole bunch of these things that sit on lettuce, and you don't typically cook lettuce, do you?
No, but if you grill romaine, it's awesome.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, I perked interest in the
Yeah.
silence.
Well, Tess
of
just
it.
our mime over here just
You
went
mean
ahead
your
and
wife.
just went ahead and went. Oh, but she didn't say anything. She's Marcel.
I heard it. Anyway, 407-422-1212.
I wanted to get into what do you do about how do you strengthen your bone? Okay, this is the main deal here, because I fell last week. I was out in my yard, and I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing called trimming trees. And, I've got these yard guys, and I just got a little frustrated with them. I told them what I wanted, and they just didn't feel like getting up over 14 feet because their workers' comp said, no, don't do it because you could fall. So I figured, the heck with that, I'll just do it.
Smart.
And fell.
See?
So what happened was I caught... This is really stupid. Okay.
Good.
Now, instead of wearing my boots, which I don't wear and haven't worn
You
since
wearing
I moved here,
sandals?
I
Were you
was
wearing
wearing
sandals?
flip flops.
Yep.
It wasn't even sandals,
Should've
flip
known.
flops, and they got caught on one of my hedges. I was trying to step over the hedge with a pole saw, 20-foot pole saw, and it got caught. It was either get impaled on the pole saw, fall into the ligustrum tree. So I twisted and landed on a loropetalum. Okay, well, that doesn't sound like a real problem. Loropetalum, how hard could that be, right? They're like punji sticks. So the thing just buggered me up for about a week. Then I decided maybe I should listen to my own lectures. So how do you harden the bone? And you can do it cheaply and easily. The way that it's done is by looking at bone chemistry, thinking backwards what's missing, and why are your bones melting away as a 50-year-old female where your 15-year-old daughter is eating like garbage and they're growing. The answer is simple. Your gastrointestinal tract is not efficient in taking in certain minerals, but that's not calcium, is it? It's strontium. You got to supplement what you're doing with strontium. Strontium citrate, to be precise, the dosage 200 to 400 milligrams of the elemental strontium 2 to 3 times a day. That will harden the bone. Now, a lot of docs out there never even heard of strontium, which ought to tell you something about their chemistry background. Oh boy. Strontium is a mineral. It's been around forever. Strontium is necessary. Your bone wants it because it cross-links certain crystals, makes them stronger like rebar does to concrete. If you're strontium deficient, you end up with osteoporosis. What else do you need? Vitamin D3, that's dog 3. But D3 doesn't get absorbed very well, does it? Unless you have oil in your stomach at the same time. So you take a fish oil with it and it blows it right through the stomach. What's the dosage? 5,000 IUs. What else do you need? Vitamin K2. Not K1, not K3, but K2. There are 3 different vitamin Ks. You got to get the right one. The dosage is 150 to 200 micrograms daily. And then last but not least, you have to have enough estradiol. And it doesn't take much serum estradiol to do this. So what level do you need? 30 to 50 picograms per deciliter is sufficient. That is not a lot. So what do you need? You basically need to have the right minestrone ingredients to make the minestrone soup, sometimes known as bone density. You harden the bone, and when you do fall, as I did, you're not going to break anything. Bruise it maybe, but not break anything. Do I take strontium? Yes. K2? Yes. D3? Yes. Do I take estradiol? No. Why wouldn't I? Because I'm a guy. Guys never have a shortage of estradiol. In fact, they typically have a surplus as they get older.
Man boobs.
Man boobs. Okay, I do not, but there are times I wish I did and I'd never get any work done. So
Stop.
So what do you do? Harden the bone. We're going to get into blood vessels if we have time to do so.
We do.
And we do. Oh, excellent. Okay. What do you do for those bones? For the blood vessels, look at your legs. Do you see little things like spider veins down there? Okay. A lot of people have these things and they wonder about them. Do you have varicose veins? Do you have hemorrhoids? These things are symptoms of other issues, weaknesses within the blood vessels themselves. And you can fix this using something called horse chestnut. Horse chestnut. Dosage is 450 milligrams once a day, and the stuff is cheap. We have it in the store for, I think, $10 for 100 of them. You take one per day. So for $3 a month, you can deal with your spider veins, your hemorrhoids, and it actually helps with regards to that old person's bruising stuff that you see so frequently out there. What else do you want to be taking? Just a little bit, and I do mean a little bit of copper. And 1 milligram, 2 milligrams maybe, but 1 to 2 milligrams is all it takes, and that will also help with regards to varicose veins. So that's how you harden up the blood vessels, not as in hardening the arteries, but as in firming up the muscularis layer of the veins so that they don't break and bruise.
All right, real quick, we get a text here. Does
Sure
ice cream contain strontium?
No.
Okay, so there's your answer there. 407-422-1212 if you'd like to text in and get shot down like that.
You know, that's a brilliant question. I'll tell you why.
23680 is the text line. Tell me why.
Because you could sell a lot of ice cream. This Star ice cream contains strontium. It hardens your bone.
Great. Give me
Brilliant.
ideas.
Thank you. You just gave me an idea.
All right, we got some questions we're going to take on the on Facebook while we're in a commercial break. We're only going to take a quick break here, just a couple minutes. We'll be right back. It is live, Stages of Life Radio. We do this Sunday afternoons from 4 until 5 p.m. with Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute in Longwood, Florida. Check them out, stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. I guess that's a very quick break, 2.5 minutes. Kathy's at home, and she's at home in Nantucket, my home.
Okay.
And she says, are they finding anything else to help people with COVID if they get real sick? She is a nervous wreck.
Okay. Well, don't be a nervous wreck. It doesn't really help anything. Worry is dysfunctional imagination. What I do here, down in the deep south, sometimes known as Central Florida, I use lactoferrin-containing colostrum. And when people get sick, it's a little bit different than prevention for the COVID. Two of the capsules twice a day, once a day in that range, is very helpful to reduce your risk of getting it. But when people get sick, and not just COVID, but influenza, rhinovirus, adenovirus, common cold, as it were, you take 2 capsules 4 times a day. So last week, my lovely wife got sick with a cold. How did we know it was a cold? Because it was a cold. And so we had the colostrum at the house. We had the licorice root extract at the house. And she is just about as skeptical an individual as exists on this planet. Okay? I know my stuff. I've been doing this for a long time. She doesn't care. I have to convince her to do anything. So she starts getting sick. Now she can't see her grandkids. So we have a state of being and a motivational event, and now all of a sudden we have something in medicine called compliance. So what do? Take the colostrum every 3 hours, and the symptoms go away in about 20 minutes and last about 3.5 hours. That's the way that it goes. So what do you know? She takes the colostrum. She takes 1 drop of the licorice root extract elixir. Okay, because it's much more concentrated. I'm a cheap guy, so I really like to make it as cost effective as possible. And 30 minutes later, the symptoms are gone. 3.5 hours later, they come back. She takes the stuff again, just the colostrum, not the licorice root, and for another 3.5 hours, she's symptom free. Every 12 hours, you do about 500 milligrams of licorice root extract. That's 1 drop of the elixir, and 2 colostrum 4 times.
Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio. I am Melissa Fox with 2 X's. You can follow me on the social media, just Melissa Fox Radio. But you got to respect the 2 X's. Just like it's true. You know, and Josh knows what you're going to get. We've got Dr. David Klein with us. That's Klein.
With one N.
One N. And the E's in the middle, not at the end.
There you go.
Yeah, so there you have it. With Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute. And we do this live every Sunday from 4 until 5 p.m. 407-422-1212, or the text line, which seems to be funny, 23680. Yes.
I had a thought. Okay, so people say, well, what do I do? How do I, I got people coming to town. Why don't you try testing them for COVID? Wouldn't that be interesting? Come to town, get tested, and be done with it.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
It's not expensive. It's not that big a deal to do. And just
Are you guys open this week?
Yeah. We'll be open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday, you're out of luck because I am gone.
Feasting.
But yeah, so if you want to get tested, call us at 407-679-3337. It's 407-679-3337, and we'll work in. It's going to be crazy busy this week because of the holiday, but we'll work in.
Yeah, and here's another one. If you feel sick, stay home.
Yeah,
I mean,
imagine that.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, share the pain.
How sensible is that? I don't feel good. Oh, well, please don't come over my house then. Okay.
Yeah, but it occurred to me. I didn't even think just to invite people down. So that's really what it's all about. And then as we start getting back after Thanksgiving, what do you do with the kids in school? Why don't we try testing them too? You're going to keep them home for 2 weeks because they got exposed? Try testing them. It's not that big a deal. It's not that expensive, and it certainly beats the heck out of having them hang around getting in your hair.
So, Dr. Klein, you started out the show talking about getting ready for the fall.
Yes.
And basically, the joke is it's not really a joke, it's not falling in the first place would be great, but if you do fall, you should be able to have strengthened your bones so that you more bounce than break.
Yes. The upshot of it is that you need to strengthen your core muscles, which is harder to do for most people than it is to take a capsule of strontium, K2 and D3. Frankly, there are easy ways to do this and make your survivability that much greater. Do any of these influence the development of Alzheimer's? The answer is no. That's not what this is all about.
Okay.
Do any of these influence your heart? The answer is no. What do? They help your frame. You're 70% muscle and about 10% bone, but it's that 10% bone that makes the difference with regards to fracture. So let's say Aunt Sally fell and she broke her hip. Odds are her hip broke before she fell. It was the hip fracture that caused her to go down. So as the bones start to become more like wet drywall, which is the way things go as we get older, if we don't take really good nutritional care of ourselves, that hip, the neck of the femur will snap under her own weight, which may be excessive, is often the case. You walk along, the thing goes snap, and then down goes Aunt Sally. The mortality from hip fractures in the elderly is not that different from pancreatic cancer. So you really don't want to fall and break a hip. It's not a good outcome necessarily.
All right.
So these are the sorts of things that we have to look at. So then as far as the COVID thing's concerned, we've lost fewer Americans during the last 12 months. Fewer Americans have died in the past 12 months than did in the previous 12 months. Just think about that for a second. So everybody hanging around their houses, fewer people died overall.
Well, yeah.
So if you're really that scared, don't be. You're safer now than you ever were. The problem is you can't earn a living. So
it's making it tough.
It's making it tough for you. So what do I suggest? Use your brains. Again, in my office, we've been open every day since this thing started because people still get sick.
Got a texter, Greg from Deltona, who apparently will be doing his first visit with you tomorrow afternoon.
Cool. All right, Greg.
Set aside some time. Don't be in a rush. Hey, I'm not being. We all know this. It's going to be an invest. Bring something, like a book of puzzles or something.
Well, the first visit coming to my place is long, and the reason isn't because you're sitting there waiting. It's because there is a ton of work that we do because we try to get it all done in one visit. We're not going to bounce people back and forth a half a dozen times trying to assemble this and assemble that and charge you each time.
Yeah, it's well worth filling out. What is it, the 19 pages?
More than that. Actually, the stuff that we have to fill out, that's the 19 that you have to fill out because I want to know everything about you exclusive of your zodiac sign.
You can figure that out.
I have a program that does that. So, we really do dig because a lot of people show up because they the previous docs can't figure out what the heck happened, which means that somebody has to look a little bit harder. So bring your records with you, and bring your patients with you. It's not like we're goofing off because we start working at 7:30, 7:15, and we're there until probably 7 o'clock at night.
Huh. All of a sudden, Tanya says it's echoing. Must be on your end because we're just popping it on the radio here, making it happen as always.
Yeah,
but
we're
Greg,
here.
Stop. So, Greg, thank you so much for becoming a patient of Dr. Klein's. And you, too, can become a patient. He is accepting new patients. 407-679-3337. Talk with Iris. Or go to Stages of Life Medical Institute and just follow the prompts there to get things started.
Yeah, and a lot of doctors' offices aren't taking patients, which galled me.
It makes no sense.
So, yeah, my wife here had to go to a dermatologist, and she called around and couldn't find anybody that took her Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's amazing. We had to go to a rheumatologist. Nobody would take it. She had to go to some guy that doesn't even have a computer. So it's the world of medicine has gone completely crazy.
Yeah, it has. And speaking of completely crazy, our holiday coming up, Thanksgiving holiday. Want to wish everybody good luck with it. We hope you gave enough instructions on how to handle things. And if not, you get sick, call Dr. Klein.
I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
407-679-3337. I am Melissa Fox. I'll catch you tomorrow morning during Good Morning Orlando. Dr. Klein, thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, and everybody have a good, safe, and just successful holiday.
Tell them, be well.
Be well.
You've been listening to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Check out stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com or stop by 1917 Booth Circle in Longwood near the intersection